Well, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on the tropics. I know a lot of you are probably starting to see in the news media a lot of things about the tropics. If you're watching the Weather Channel, if you're watching Fox Weather, or if you're watching your local television programs, especially if you live along the Gulf Coast or the Atlantic coast. So I want to talk about that. First of all, we have Dexter out here, not a threat at all. We have another area that'll disturb weather off the southeast coast, not a threat at all. And then you'll see on the NHC 7-day outlook, you'll see this large area. And if you look at it, it looks as if what they're showing here is that it's going to form out here and go off into the Atlantic. And I want to kind of break that down for you guys. This will be a pretty quick video. But first of all, I want to show you what the global tropical hazards look like. Uh, and This kind of cuts it off a little bit. And there's unfortunately no way to really go about unless I unlock this here and kind of, well, I can't even do that. So let me keep that. Let me just keep this as is. So you can see what I need you to see, and that is that there's an area of 60% or greater development over here east of the islands, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. So as you can see here, there's a whole lot of shower activity along the intertropical convergence zone, the equatorial trough. You can see we have some cyclone activity off the coast of the Pacific, west coast. The west coast of Mexico. There, we're not worried about that. You can start to see what we're looking at here, off the coast of the southeast Atlantic. Not a lot to write home about right now, but what we're really focused about is out here in the eastern Atlantic, and I've got to zoom in here. You can see we have a lot of what we call gyres, little areas of rotation, little areas of low pressure out here west of the Cabo Verdes. We have one sitting right here. We have one sitting right here. We have another one over in here coming off the coast. Now let me show you the evolution of these over the next 7 to 10 days. The models all have differing solutions. What I'm going to do is show you 4 different models, all starting at about the same period of time. And then I'm going to backtrack that on a couple of the main models. All right. So first of all, we're going to show you the European starting at 168 hours. And this is Wednesday night. It says Thursday, but that's Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. It's Thursday 0Z. That's Greenwich Mean Time. So you can see what the European is showing is we're starting to see some, and this is at the 850 millibar level. That's about 5,000 feet. And why I like to show that level is because it's free of the land friction. It's above all the land masses. And anytime you start to get that turning, at that level, that's a good sign that you got something to work with. You can see we have a lot of wind shear here in the lower levels in the Caribbean. That's very normal. You get that. We call this Eastern Caribbean the graveyard. You get systems coming through here. They usually fall apart this time of year, especially. So the European is showing. We have something sitting, just east of the islands, around 45, 50 west. And then we have the GFS. You have something there, but you can see it has spun up something, and we'll look at this, okay? It has spun up a piece of energy that is going to be a fish storm, and you see what the NHC is doing. They're probably buying off on that, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, okay? Then we have the Canadian. You can see it has something, but it also has something behind there, which is kind of what the European is showing and kind of what the GFS is showing, okay? Then we have the UK Met. UK Met doing the same thing. Something right there, something behind it. And oh, I don't want to show that yet. Okay. So here we have the four different models. We have European showing something here, showing something further east. GFS, same thing. Canadian, same thing. UK Met, same thing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and not show you the Canadian or the UK Met. What I want to focus on is what the European evolution does and what the GFS evolution does, because these are going to be our main models that we're going to focus on if and when something develops. So you can see what the European does. It takes this piece of energy. Now we're going all the way back to current time. It takes this piece of energy and it moves it west, okay, and kind of gets it lost. And now we're back up to where we were. And then you can see what it does. It spins it up just east of the islands. So let's take it now to where we're Thursday evening, and let's take it out to Friday morning. You can see now we have probably a tropical storm just over around the Virgin Islands. So let's take now the GFS back and let's see what happens. You can see we have Dexter up here in the North Atlantic. And now let's move forward, and you can see what it does is it takes this piece of energy. It's very gung-ho and aggressive and spins it up. I don't necessarily buy that. And let me show you why. Let me open up another window here, and let me go. I'm back to the European, and let me show you the wind speeds out here. Okay. See, we have a little bit of shear. We're talking in the order. We have an upper level low, some troughiness. When the GFS is spinning this thing up out here east of the northeast of the islands, we have probably a tropical depression or tropical storm out here in 60 hours or so. See, that's Saturday morning. You can see in this area here where the European has it, it's got easterly shear on the order of 30 knots or so. I have a hard time buying that a storm is going to spin up like that under that kind of shear. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't happen, but you can see if it is able to actually get something going, it's going to have pretty good upper level support at that moment. So what the GFS does is it actually, you know, in about 150, by next Wednesday, it really gets a very good system cranking. All right, a really good system. And then it wants to spin up another system in the Gulf, all right, another system in the Gulf, in the Bay of Campeche, while it spins up this major hurricane just near Bermuda. All right, so now we're at next Friday. So let's take you know, we're almost at we're at the same valid time here next Friday. So we got two totally differing solutions now. We have a tropical storm on the European east of the islands, and we have a major hurricane near Bermuda on the GFS. But now the GFS is showing another tropical system forming east of the islands. On that last bit of energy, remember there was two systems on both the European and the GFS and all of the systems. Remember, on all of the models were showing two systems. It's just the GFS decided to crank this one up, and now both of them are bringing in. The European just didn't crank it up. It just brought it west as a wave. And you can see where it is in the European. It kind of loses it. It brings it west. It gets lost in the Caribbean graveyard and probably brings it west to here. And here it is right here. And brings it into Central America. Okay? And I kind of feel that that's probably what's going to happen. And then what you can see is as it gets closer to the islands, it really cranks it up. So that by next Saturday morning, we have a pretty decent system getting into the Greater Antilles. Now, what does the GFS show for next Saturday morning? GFS shows for next Saturday morning a pretty good system a little bit further behind. So the models are basically tracking on the same thing. So let's keep with the GFS and let's go forward another day. Now we're Sunday at about midnight, Monday, early Monday morning. We still have this monster system the GFS has picked up on, right? Off the East Coast. Now, remember, I don't think this is going to be there. One thing that this would do, though, if this were there, it's creating a weakness in the ridge. This massive system that I don't think is going to be there is creating this massive upper level low. If this is not there, then the European would be correct. So remember, we're now at 270 hours. So let's now go out 270 hours. Go back. And now we have probably a hurricane over Cuba. You can see we have a little bit of troughing, but now we've got this big ridge over the Tennessee, Ohio Valley area. And you can see that we also have one same plot over the GFS. This is very worrisome because both of these models are showing this, and if we were to be able to look into the future, the reason why I'm not showing these other two models is because they just don't go out this far. So there's no sense in going and looking at something they can't see, right? So now let's keep going. We're in the GFS. Let's keep going. And you can see now we're at 300 hours on the GFS. And so let's go 300 hours. And you can see now, European and the GFS. And I just closed it. Thanks to the miracle of modern technology, we are now going to click exceptionally fast. Now look at this. We're Tuesday morning on the Euro and Tuesday morning on the GFS. And that is about as close to model consistency as you can get, brothers and sisters. You've got both models almost spot on with a hurricane south of Cuba. Now we go forward, and the European just wants to stall this thing out slowly, and I'll show you why here in a second. And now we're at the end of the model run at 360 hours on the European. And now let's get to, let's get to 360 hours on the GFS. And now let's trade out our maps and let's go to the Gulf of Mexico, shall we? Let's go to the Gulf of Mexico. And you can see what we've got on the GFS and the European. So to give you an idea of the track, I'm just going to run this out to the GFS. I know the pucker factor just went up mightily for all my friends in Texas, and especially my peeps and my homies and all those other slang words that I love to use so much. My besties and the people I love in Southeast Texas. But I'm going to get a word of caution in here in just a little bit. Okay, this is a very long way out, and we're gonna look at this here in a second. And then there's the European. Okay, so first of all, what does this look like at the surface? Well, that's what it looks like at the surface. Max winds of about 87 knots. But here, at 850, we're looking at 160 knots. And let's see, while my brain freezes, y'all are still going to have to be patient with me here a little bit. And we're looking at 125 knots. So, and increasing. So now let's look at something else. One of the worrying things here is what I see as I look at um, let's see if I can pull this out here. Here we go. Well, it's when you know it, it's wanting to be stubborn. There we go. Okay, one of the worrying things I see here is what's happening with the upper level heights. So all of this deep red is height anomalies, and what you see here in the long term is a definite shifting pattern for these heights to put a ridge over the Tennessee Valley and the southeast. And what that necessarily does is it tends to drive these storms towards the west. As we look towards the basin, all right, as we look towards what the basin is, and that means what is this going to do long term track wise? Well, you can see that we have a lot of ridging to the north of it, pretty much throughout the lifespan. There is a chance if it will strengthen east of the islands quickly, it could hit a break. I don't think that's going to happen because none of the modeling shows that that's happening. Right? It shows that it won't strengthen until it gets around here, but you can see what happens here is we have a ridge off the southeast coast. And then as it continues to strengthen, that ridge continues to strengthen, so much so that by the time this system finally gets into the Gulf, then we have ridging to the north of it. This tells me that our main focus for anything that develops should be geared more towards the panhandle of Florida and westward. If something develops, now listen very carefully, if something develops near the islands or westward, if we can get these systems to develop in the main development region, then we're probably looking at a fish storm. The longer it takes to develop, the slower it takes to develop, then we're looking at a further west landfall. So real quick, let's look at the water temperatures and then we'll call it a day. So our water temperatures, we are looking at pretty warm, but water temperatures alone won't do it. You can see we have pretty low heat content until we get to the islands. And then once we get into the Caribbean Sea, it is off to the races. We have the loop current, and then very troubling is that as you get towards the coast of Texas especially, we have very, very, very warm ocean heat content. Think of this as high octane fuel. It doesn't matter that you have gasoline if it's 60 octane, right? If it's 50 octane, it'll still burn, but if it's 100 octane, it burns great. So I want you to think of it in terms of that. I will definitely continue to keep you guys updated on this situation. As I won't be giving out an update every day, but I wanted to give you guys something to look at as we head towards the weekend, and as the situation warrants, I will keep you guys updated. Love you all. May God richly bless you, my beloved.